Father, I thank you for this gathering. As we take this masterclass session, take up the chair and give us understanding to whatever we are going to learn. To your glory, I pray. Amen.
Thank you so much for that, setting the tone for us. So now we are going to turn it over to our fearless leader, Professor Bismarck. You have our attention.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for coordinating this master training session again, as always. And Mr. Floyd Miller, forever in awe every time I come into your orbit. We've had this conversation since the days of Richmond, Virginia, Thomas Jefferson, and for you to grace this occasion and share your wealth of experience and entrepreneurship and being the CEO of MBL, managing over 1,700 entrepreneurs in the STEAM organization. I really commend you for being here today. And all the rest of the team, Lisa, Gloria, Torsa, and all the silent giants behind that are making this initiative very, very possible. So I'm going to reverse my comments to about 3 to 4 minutes maximum to set the stage of our core virtues and what we wanted to really do. And it starts with a short story. I remember my time in Uganda. I came across a graduate that was on the verge of suicide, took their whole entire life savings to go to school. And immediately after school, they weren't able to find a job and they were roaming the streets of Kampala on the verge of suicide, where we had to try to get some professionals to really assist this young student. And it really dawned on me, and I spoke to some of my colleagues and asked the question, what are we doing when it comes to higher education? What is that final product that we're trying to produce? Is it just certificates or skills? And it really dawned on me that, and the rest of the team, that we really want to change the conversation around what education is, especially on the continent of Africa. And that drove three people where endless nights we kept having this conversation. One is a diplomat, one is an educator, and one is a businessman, where we kept going for almost 4.5 months having a conversation. What would it look like if we're able to build and collaborate with the right partners to redo education? And we summarized it in 3 letters and in an acronym called PhD, which is Principles, Honesty, and Discipline. That the final product is an individual that has a kingdom mind and is a doer, not a talker, and goes out and really changes the narrative of higher education and within their space. And when we wrote out this initiative, where officially we want to start in August 2026, and anyone that has been in my orbit for less than 3 minutes, you will know that I have a soft spot for teachers and educators. So we were able to convince that let's start this initiative with the first pilot in May of recruiting individuals that have a heart for learning, but also want to really retool themselves in the industry that they're currently in. And we lean heavily on educators. So the core virtue of AIU is really simple. How do we build nation builders? How do we build individuals that are skills driven, not certificate driven? So, for all my colleagues on this call, if you're looking for a certificate, you'll be greatly disappointed. But if you're looking for an opportunity in your life to make your dreams and your hopes, your aspiration come to pass, we built the right platform with the right partners from Harvard, Saylor University, and all the other partners that want to come on board to really retool you for the future. Whatever your goals are, whatever your aspirations are, it starts with skills development. And you remember, become valuable, not available. And that's what skills allow you to do in the marketplace. So, Lisa, that is what I want to really communicate is the anchored around building PhDs, which stands for principles, honesty, and discipline within the context of higher education. And the certificates can come, especially in the times that we live in with AI. And we don't compromise on these virtues of ensuring that our graduates are focused on skills, people skills, soft skills, hard skill, communication skill, ability to have public speaking skill, analytical skills, skills that are needed in the marketplace. When we sit down with industry, the first few words that come out of a CEO's mouth is the graduates that are coming out of college are not ready for the workforce. And we want to begin to change that narrative from day one, especially when we live in a time where it's not the content that matter, it is the context that you bring to that. So we're super excited that you've been selected to pilot this initiative with us in a long road where you will be developed to have a PhD, which is principles, honesty, and discipline. Thank you for your attention. Lisa, back to you.
Thank you so much for setting the stage of our not losing focus of our overall goal as we move through this program and the culture of this goal of the program that we want to set. So thank you. So yes, our keynote speaker is Floyd Miller, and he is representing us, representing the MBL, and that's the Metropolitan Business League. Before introducing Mr. Miller, I want to tell you a little bit about the Metropolitan Business League, so that you can really understand the caliber of partnership that we are getting. So the Metropolitan Business League, their whole goal is to promote economic prosperity, and that's through education, access to resources, and building relationships for small business owners. And as you know, that's one of the key components of the program is entrepreneurship. Second of all, they've done this for over 53 years, and they do it by building networks, not just with other businesses, which is very important, but also making sure that their members are able to connect with government entities, educational institutions. So it's really a well-rounded, diverse network. And also, they encourage relationship building among its members and with the goal of course, growing their business. Now, Mr. Miller, he is the president and CEO of this wonderful organization, and he has so many accolades. But I'm gonna list a few, and as you can see, there's some here on the slide, but they're very, very impressive. So in 2000, he won the Men of Vision Award, or was recipient of the Men of Vision Award, and that's for his work at preventing sexual assault and crimes against women. Also, he received the Richmond History Maker Award for Economic Innovation in 2021. And then he was recognized as in 2022 as the top 100 people to meet in the state of Virginia. And also in 2023, he was a top Black executive. So he has a history of giving back to the business world for growing, mentoring, economic development, and being a champion of entrepreneurs. So, Mr. Miller, you have our attention, and we look forward to your keynote address.
Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I just want to say good morning, especially to my friend, Mr. Bismarck. Is it Professor or President, Mr. Bismarck? I really truly appreciate your friendship, and I want to thank you and your team for the invitation this morning. I truly appreciate this opportunity. And to the students, it's an honor to spend time with you today. Many of you are balancing careers and families and responsibilities and ambitions, and that takes commitment. It makes your presence here even more meaningful today. And so I want to thank you for your time and allowing me just an opportunity to speak to you today. So today, when I talk with you about entrepreneurship, I want you to understand that it's not just as a career path, but it's a way of living. It's a way of living. And entrepreneurship is really a lifestyle. It's not only about starting a business, it's about how you approach problems, how you recognize opportunities, and how you take ownership of your future. I just want to tell you a little bit about my journey. People often introduce me, as the wonderful introduction was, as a business expert, but I'm not an expert on business. But I want to be clear, I didn't graduate with a business degree. My master's degree is in education. But what I do have is this desire of entrepreneurship. I think that it is a successful way for folks to really accomplish many goals. And it started early when I was a young man in high school. I couldn't find a job. So instead of waiting around for the opportunity, I started my own business. And that mindset never really left me. Over the years, I've owned multiple businesses. I owned a driving school because I saw a need while working in law enforcement that folks were just getting speeding tickets. And so I realized education could be a solution to that. So I built a business around that need. And then later on, I started a drug testing company where we worked with professional athletes and NCAA athletes, where we went out and did testing. And today, I manage my family's real estate investment company where we provide housing for individuals, first-time home buyers. And so, alongside entrepreneurship, I built a career in law enforcement and criminal justice, as you heard. I even served as an adjunct professor teaching victimology while working with the Richmond Commonwealth Attorney's Office. But at some point, I realized that I really wanted to do something that was a little more proactive versus reactive. And that's kind of how I got into nonprofit management. And that instead of, really focusing on the career in law enforcement, I decided to go work for the Metropolitan Business League. And today I have the privilege of, and get this, I love this saying, I like to invest in people instead of arresting people, because I think being proactive and providing opportunities for individuals is really what we need to do more in this world. And so, as CEO of the MBL, I work with a diverse network of business owners, as it was mentioned, small businesses, women-owned businesses, minority businesses, and a plethora of corporate partners. And I can tell you, the success in business is not just about what you know, it's about how you operate. And Mr. Bismarck, he mentioned some key components, but some of the most important skills I use every day are things I wish were emphasized more in school when I was in college. So I want to go over a couple of those that I've identified. The first one is people skills, how to communicate, listen, negotiate, and build trust, people skills. The second one is time management, because no one is going to manage your time for you. You have to learn how to manage your time. The next one is discipline, doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. And the next one is character, who you are when no one is watching. And the last one I want to talk about, and I think Mr. Bismarck mentioned this, was honesty and principles, because your reputation will either open doors or close them. So I like to say that degrees can open the door, but these skills that I mentioned determine how far you go once you walk through the door. It's about doing, not just learning. And one of the biggest challenges I see, especially with education, is finding capable professionals. And this is something that I love about your PhD program, Mr. Bismarck, that this is something that you're addressing. So a lot of times, too much focus on coursework and not enough focus on execution. I believe knowledge without action is wasted. Knowledge without action is wasted. Entrepreneurship requires movement. It requires trying something and failing, adjusting, and trying it again. And every business that I've started comes from identifying a need and doing something about it. As I mentioned, the drug testing, that was a need. I mentioned the driving school, that was a need. So I challenge you, don't just prepare. I challenge you, don't just be able to focus on your education, but make sure you try to prepare yourself for these opportunities that are out there. So the reality of entrepreneurship, let's be honest about the challenges. Over 50% of the businesses fail because of lack of information. And a lot of the businesses fail because lack of cash flow. And those are some of the things that we do at the Metropolitan Business League. We focus on three pillars, one being education, the second, access to capital, and the third, procurement opportunities. And so I'm so happy that, since we started our capital access program, we've been able to give out almost $3 million in grants and microloans to small businesses. And I think, realizing that businesses need that support, and that's why our organization has been so successful. So I'm glad that you mentioned the AI component. Staying competitive in this AI driven world is so important. We are living in a rapidly changing environment, and AI is just driving our economy. And the question is not what things will challenge you in AI. You have to be already prepared to address these issues. And so, no matter your field, most commitments are to continuous learning. The most valuable professionals today are not the ones who know the most. They are the ones who learn the fastest and adapt to these types of situations. And you have to stay competitive. So, three key pieces of advice that I'd like to share with you. If you are taking nothing else from today, I want you to focus on these three things. The first one is develop your people skills. Your ability to connect, communicate, and build relationships will take you further than technical knowledge alone. Opportunities often come through people and not applications. The second one is master discipline and time management. So, success is not about motivation. Sometimes it's about consistency. And what you do daily matters more than what you do occasionally. And the third one is take action and stay adaptable. I don't want you to wait until everything is perfect. Start when you are able to really put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. Learn as you go, adjust quickly, especially in today's world, speed and adaptability are competitive advantages. And that's where AI really comes in play. And so, in closing, when I was in high school, I played basketball, and I played basketball in college, and I wasn't the tallest, I wasn't the fastest, or I wasn't the strongest, but I worked hard. I gave everything I had, and I was recognized for my hard work with a 110% award. And I think, that same principle applies to life and business and being an entrepreneur. And whatever you choose to do, commit to excellence, find a need, put in the work, stay hungry, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Because entrepreneurship isn't just something you do, it's who you become. And I encourage you to always step outside the box, be different. So I want to leave you with one of my favorite quotes. I love quotes. And so I want to leave you with a quote, and it goes, innovation leads to change, which organically translates to growth. And I believe that if you continue to focus on some of the skills and some of the things that I mentioned today, you will be successful in anything you want to accomplish. So at this time, I just want to thank you all again. It's been a pleasure to be with you this morning, and I look forward to even coming up and being in person and learning more about your program, because I love the acronym PhD, and I want to get my PhD with you all as well. So thank you very much for having me this morning.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. That was really, really encouraging. And you've given our potential students, future students, as well as all of us, something to think about and to chew on. So thank you so much
You're
for that.
welcome.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Miller? We do want to take advantage of having him on the call with us. Are there any questions that you have for him about entrepreneurship or about his journey, anything of that nature? All right. Ruth Kasaki?
Thank you so much, Ms. Lisa, for this opportunity. I had a question for Mr. Miller. Wanted to ask him, um, Mr. Miller, thank you for sharing your knowledge, your experience. My question to you is, what is that? What was that mistake that you've made that teach you about that taught you so much about entrepreneurship or your leadership skills?
That's a great question. I think, as an entrepreneur and founder of, as I mentioned, many opportunities, I think, I will say my mistake has always been trying to focus on too many opportunities at one time. Statistics show that in order to be successful, you have to really focus on one thing at one time. And so, as I encourage you to really look at how you expand your business, you have to be an expert on a particular subject matter. And even when you look at procurement opportunities, like with the government, they're looking and they're coming to you to be an expert on a particular subject matter. And so, as your business, yeah, it's great to be innovative. You need to step outside the box. But I think a lot of times business owners try to focus on offering too many services or too many products. And so you have to have your niche, and you have to really focus on one thing, whether it's one particular commodity, or you can't be focused on a lot of different businesses. And I think that's something that I have made mistakes in. I think if I can give 110% in one particular thing, I think you'll end up being more successful.
Hey, thanks so much. Thanks for the question and really appreciate the response. We have a question on the chat, and it says, you mentioned before that it's a struggle to find capable educators. And the person asking the question says they've been thinking about it deeply, and they would like to decentralize education by building a localized, sustainable curricula, making African education more engaging and culturally relevant. Do you think that this bottom-up approach to curriculum design fits within the MEI AI framework?
Oh, yes, most definitely. I mean, education is really, as I mentioned, a lot of businesses fail due to the lack of education, 50%. And so a lot of business owners, they know their craft, but they don't really know how to run a business. And so we've actually done some work with Job for Future organization, JFF, where we were part of a study and research on the usage of AI and how it can be supportive to business owners. And so they actually have a curriculum in place that we use. It's actually like a toolkit that we give out to our business owners. It's an online portal platform that we give out to our members. And it actually shows how business owners can be more successful with using AI. So I think anything in that area, I mean, it's constantly growing. I mean, everyone was focused on, 2 years ago, it was chat, and now it's Claude. And so I think, anything that you can do to educate, because we have to stay one step ahead of the game. And we got to know the playbook, and anything you can do to help businesses in that area, I think will be successful.
So we know, of course, there are many different components to make that happen, as you've just explained. But what would you say would be a good first step? If you had to take one step as your first step.
First step in what area? Give me an example.
First step in building systemic change in the
Ooh.
area of education. So if you have to make a first step, do you have any thoughts about what that first step would be?
I think it's collaboration with with universities and organizations like the Metropolitan Business League. I think we're currently working with all of the HBCUs, trying to develop entrepreneurship centers within the universities. I've had the pleasure of working at Virginia State University, and we have an entrepreneurship center on campus. I've had some conversations with Virginia Union University and Hampton University. I just met with Tyrod Taylor, who's a professional football player who has a foundation that he was able to incorporate his curriculum and plan into Hampton University's Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center. And so, and Mr. Bismarck talked about, certifications and things of that nature. I think that's where collaboration can be helpful, and working with organizations like myself, with the Metropolitan Business League, other chambers, because if you look at it, there's a great synergy between workforce development and entrepreneurship. We know that entrepreneurs are the backbone of the economy. And so I think, we need universities from an educational standpoint. They need to collaborate more with resources like in the community, like the Metropolitan Business League, membership organizations, folks that are in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And, we get students from various curriculums. It's not just students that are in the School of Business, because, as I mentioned, entrepreneurship is a lifestyle, it's a way of living. And so it can be beneficial, and the skills that you develop can be helpful in any career that you choose to go into. I mean, I always like to say I have a very eclectic background, and I think, collaboration would be the key to us moving forward.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So the next question is, what is something that the business world told you was important, maybe even essential, but it turned out to be completely overrated?
It's a great question. That's a great question. I'm going to have to remember that one, and so I can be more prepared. But I think, I think prior to the pandemic, businesses weren't being proactive. When the pandemic hit, uh, there were so many opportunities for access to capital, and businesses they needed to pivot, and they just weren't prepared for any catastrophe like the pandemic. And so, if you look at history, there are always going to be challenges, things that could be impactful. And I think, again, as I mentioned, we got to start being a little more proactive, not only just from a business owner, but just in everything we do in life. And that's what I have noticed. A lot of business owners, they're not proactive. They just don't realize the importance of research and planning, and even having a valid succession plan. They just don't think of things like that, and then all of a sudden you look up and you've been in business for 10, 15 years, and you don't really have a right strategic plan to follow. And so I think, again, it goes back to just being more proactive.
Thank you very much. We have one person here who's waiting to ask a question. We are going to ask that from going forward, please, all questions, please put them in the chat. But Miss Grace, please, you can ask your question. You are muted. Okay, we'll come back.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next question. And you touched on this when you spoke earlier in your keynote address, but just for emphasis, if you could pick one people skill that has served you the best, what would it be?
Um, hmm. I really think it's the communication, and I think communication really aligns with developing relationships. Uh, Relationships are so important. I mean, as I mentioned, I don't claim to be, an expert in business and entrepreneurship. I don't, even claim to be the smartest person, but I will say that, my communication, I have a master's in counseling. So I learned how to be a good listener. I don't like to overtalk people, because it's important to balance the communication when you're speaking with people. And I think organically that leads to great relationships, and relationships will really get you to the next level. As I mentioned, education can open the door, but developing those skills will help you make it through the door.
Excellent. Thank you. One thing that you said earlier too, I really, really, really loved is how important it is to build trust, that is a skill, is to build trust in those relationships.
Yeah.
All right. Our next question is, looking back on your journey, what do you wish you had known at the very, very start of your entrepreneurial journey? What is something you wish you knew?
Um, that's another good question. I don't get asked that much. I think, again, really understanding how, you may know your craft, but you don't really know how to run a business. And as I mentioned, I don't have a business degree. My undergraduate is in criminal justice. My master's is in education. So being a good student of knowing how to run a business is important. And with technology today, I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to gain the experience and the education that you need to actually run a business. Most business owners that I know, they don't have a bachelor's degree in business or the MBA, but they know their craft. And once you know your craft and you know how to run a business effectively, then the sky's the limit. And so I think, yeah, focusing more on the education component of how to actually run a business, and I think that's something that I would say in that regard.
So another question we have, I know you touched on it a little bit when you talked about COVID and how perhaps people did not take advantage of things that they could do as an entrepreneur during that time period.
Mhm.
So with that in mind, and with some of the uncertainty that we have coming in the future, people
Yeah.
are talking about, right? This next question asks, how do you stay resilient and make decisions during those uncertain or difficult periods?
Yeah, I think as a business owner or any business owner, I encourage, yeah, business owners to join organizations like the Metropolitan Business League. It puts you in, we try to create environments where you are able to be in the same rooms with different entrepreneurs. From a procurement standpoint, we have a plethora of corporate members like Dominion Energy and Altria and Meta. So we try to create these environments where you can be face to face with different folks, and how you can benefit from being in the room with these different individuals. And so I would start by saying, not only MBL, but there are other organizations like the Chamber of Commerce, Small Business Majority. They're up in the DC area. I think connecting yourself and being able to be a part of a network like that is so beneficial. And the second thing I would say is, again, just doing the research, not getting comfortable, always trying to be proactive and staying one step ahead of everything that you need to do is going to lead you to the right opportunities. And, you know, uh, from a business owner standpoint, it's very important to understand the importance of cash flow, because that other half of businesses fail because of access to capital and cash flow. And so, understanding the importance of how to budget, when to do your taxes, all of those things could really make or break your business.
All right. Excellent, excellent. We have time for two more questions, and then we're going to let you off the hook a little bit, Mr. Miller.
No, I'm enjoying my morning with you also. Thank you
Oh,
again for
good,
the opportunity.
good. All right. So this next to the last question has to do with competitors. If you have a business, you're building a business, but there's a competitor and they don't have the same vision, but they're doing almost the same thing that you're doing. How do you stay encouraged? How do you stand out, and differentiate yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. That, look, there's always enough room for everyone. My wife, she has a very successful image and consulting business and branding, and she does hair and makeup and fashion and headshots. And, everybody's doing that. Every time I turn around, I meet an image consultant. So, first of all, I will say that don't even, just get that mindset, just get rid of that mindset. There's enough space for everyone. You guys, the 80-20 rule, or 20-80 rule, I forget which order it goes, but there's enough space for everyone, because some of these commodities are billion-dollar commodities. And so there's enough space. So don't even worry about the competition. Focus on, creating what you do and do it the best, being able to continue to be innovative and, really focus on your operations and not what someone else is doing is what I would suggest. And I think, organically, everything else will work itself out. You got to really be that subject matter expert, or, if that's your particular commodity that you're providing, it's got to be something that people trust you and feel comfortable with doing business with you. And I would say, don't even worry about the competitors, because we don't eat at Chick-fil-A every day. We we have many other places that we eat, and I wouldn't worry about the competitors. I would monitor the competitors, because again, I think it's important to always try to step outside the box and do something differently.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. Our last question, it's a common question, but I think it's as important as the technical side of business, and that is, what is your advice on balancing school, work, and personal life?
Mm. Well, I think it's also important to include, God, or any other belief that you have. I would include that in my balancing act and my time management. I talked about, earlier how important it is to really have, that time management skills. And so I don't know if balancing is the way that I approach it. I prioritize certain things. I find time for, my faith. I find time for my family. I think, from a standpoint of balancing school and business, I think there's a lot of synergy with those two, from an educational standpoint. And so, again, I think it relates to the time management, and you have to be able to balance. And those skills will help you in your ultimate business as you continue to expand.
Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate your time this morning.
You're
And
welcome.
do you have any closing remarks that you want to give? for us?
No, I just, again, I'm honored to be here with you all. Again, thank you, my friend, Mr. Bismarck. I appreciate all your leadership and your support over the years. And if there are any questions, feel free to pass my information on, and I'm happy to respond or meet with anyone that may have questions.
We do have a few questions that we didn't get to, so we'll follow up with you for those. You are free to leave, or you could stay and hear the rest of the program. But I do want to give Professor Bismarck an opportunity to make a few comments before you depart. Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. You've been a gracious facilitator. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Lisa, I echo everything that my good friend Mr. Miller has said. Let me turn off my video so that I can get a better reception here. Uh, Mr. Miller, while you are talking, I actually fill up my notebook. Every time I'm in your orbit, I'm learning so much of your
Thank you.
background, your humility, all that you've been able to accomplish throughout your entire amazing career, the love you have for young people. It's infectious. I've seen you hands on, and we need to duplicate you. When you decide to run for governor, please, you have my full support. Virginia would need a great leader like you
Oh, thank
because
you. Thank
leadership
you.
is everything. Everything starts and falls off leadership. So I commend you for that. And also in September, we're talking via the email with Angela, on September, we're going to have a conference at AIU in Accra, Ghana. We would love to extend an invitation to be one of our keynote speakers to kind of really roll up our sleeve. And it's a skills development conference. And Lisa will talk more about that later on in the orientation. And just to bring you and your team here and really see the amazing work that most of our Ghanaian students are doing, and then really
Yeah,
operationalize entrepreneurship. But again, you said it so well, so let me not leave you here. And thank you so much for our friendship, our partnership, and sky is only the beginning. I'm looking forward to collaborating with you more in the near future. May God bless you. May God
thank you.
increase you in everything that you do.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you so much. And you can always call me if you need anything, and I will look at my calendar to see if that time frame is available. Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Mr. Lee.
Take
All right.
care,
Take
you
care.
all.
You
Bye
too,
bye.
sir. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so let's move into, did you guys enjoy that? Wasn't that awesome? He had some wonderful comments, advice, and his philosophy overall. So it's easy to see why he was so successful. So let's move on to the next section of our program, and that's talking about this pilot program. I mean, why does it sound like it's too good to be true? Um, how we're going to move from compassion to action and trusting the process and things like that. Some of you have had some questions since you've started looking into this program, and we're going to address some of these questions that have come up a few times. And please also continue to put questions in the chat, because for this second part of the program, if you have additional questions after we go through the section at the end, we'll collect those questions, and whatever we cannot address today on this call, I'm sure Professor Bismarck will be able to reach out to you or a member of his team. All right, next slide. Okay. We really want you all to celebrate being given this opportunity, to being chosen to have an opportunity to be a part of this program. And we have here the different countries that are being represented, and where they're coming from. As you can see, it is being the entire diaspora is being represented and giving this the opportunity. Um, okay, and then Gloria, I'm going to turn it over to Gloria. And Gloria, why don't you go over the roster before we move into the next part?
Okay, I'm going to go through each one's names. And if you don't hear your name, please you can register in the chat with your email and contacts. So the first one is Mukwaya Solomon Bugembe, then Nagwe Farah Mahmoud, Malin Feladi, Malvin Boama, Mujalefa Fetla, Faith Yudaya, Katie Awoto, Vela Innocent, Grace Pal, Mam Said, Kefrain Ombiru, Nonsedom Duludulu, Mary Wambui, Godlove Adjei, Antonio Junior Clonhen, Mwebesa Regan, Daniel Abu, Isa Abidie Baita Peter, Wambilo Daniel Isaac, Kachungwa Stella, Claire Ahimbisibwe, Anthony Kobina, Shamina Nantongo, Johnson Adomako, Maxensia Bukira, Dembe Balia Shadrach, Asimwe Ronald, Doreen Victoria, Mboni Belinda, Joseph Kalira Tanlongo, Sandra Esi Amamo, Emmanuel Salom Fianu, Jude Nikoy, Loida Chomgisha, Johan Amegavi, Tumishang Moeti, Juliet Nakandi, Chisache Ruth, Yasmina Ahmed Al-Shazil, Kainembawa Rosemary, Noah Kwesi, Joseph Bonzi Afrifa, Jamal Chipunde Yasin, Samson Noshi, Helen Margaret Akelo, Nakabito Irene Brenda, Loretta Odro Aisi, Rejoice Elikem Agboka, Denise Yvonne Nachito, Esoyomeo Edith Chonda, Nicholas Nate Kwapong, Caroline Naula, Tarifo Chimisa Salifu, Caleb Emmanuel Ephraim, Nicholson Eben Atoribo, Lawrence Munyagwa, Dipuo Yvonne Ngowache. So if you've not had your name and you applied, please comment in the chat to help us follow up. Thank you. I'm done. Yes, the names are done. That's all. You can unmute. Miss Lisa, you've forgotten to unmute.
I sure did. Thank you for that. Thank you for the roster. And again, like Miss Goya said, if you haven't heard your name, please put it in the chat. So we're gonna go over some of the questions that have come up, questions that you may have thought about, and others as well. So one of the big questions is, why does this program, the approach, the structure, the cost, it sounds too good to be true? As mentioned previously on our other meeting, we're talking about a program that potentially could be $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 or more, but yet we're able to offer it to you through partnership and at a cost that is extremely, extremely affordable, where the lion's share of the cost are being taken on by others. So we're talking about a program that where policymakers, educators, even a diplomat saw the need and they were moved to come together. moved out of compassion, but also seeing the potential. And so they wanted to, like Mr. Floyd mentioned, not just talk about it, but using their vision and putting it into action. So please, please, please just trust the process. It is merit-based, and it's really a blessing that, you've been selected to potentially be a part of this program. So be ready and know that we're going to launch in August. So are there any other tuition-related expenses? No. We've got the $60 placement fee that we talked about previously. And then there's a $150 technology fee. And this, of course, will happen after you pass the entrance and enroll in the program. And it's going to be on a semester basis. So it will be a $150 technology fee per semester. So this is an investment in your future. And also want to mention that the proctoring fees for the exams are also being covered, so you don't have to worry about that. So next slide, please. Yes, fully accredited. AIU is accredited not just within Africa or just America, but even internationally. So we have some agreements with Ivy League schools that are partnering with us. We also have campuses in countries that require us to have one. So, for example, Ghana and Uganda, they require us legally to have an office there. But there are others like South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya that don't require an actual office, and some other countries that may be participating. So that doesn't have a bearing on whether we're accredited or not, whether there's an actual legal incorporation in that country or not, right? But the accreditation is there. So really rest your mind that you are covered in that way. Next slide. So why is it so rigorous? Because we want you to be successful. When you go through this program, you should really feel confident or have the confidence. You will have the confidence that you're ready. So that's we have someone who's not muted. Can you please
I was just following up about the program. I think
you
yesterday
please
you got
mute
so
yourself, please?
I think yesterday you got so busy. This is Mr. Simmons.
So I don't know if someone on our side can assist in muting. Okay. Thank you so much. So you will have the tools necessary. You will have a plan necessary. You will be coached, you will be mentored so that you can be successful. And let's face it, you will have challenges as you go through the program and even afterwards when you apply it, right? And we want you to be ready. So that's why it's rigorous so that you can meet whatever challenges come your way. All right. Let's move on to the next slide. What is AIU skills development benchmark? All right. So what we're talking about here is an opportunity to take courses and develop skills with industry experts from different countries, right? And what is this going to include? As Professor Bismarck mentioned earlier, and extending an invitation to Mr. Miller, we're going to have 3 programs that are in the planning stages. And what's going to happen here? You're going to be able to attend physically or virtually if you cannot attend physically. And the emphasis is going to be on meeting with industry experts, attending conferences, and really having that interaction to add to your overall curriculum. So how are we going to decide who gets invited there must be an 80% rating in terms of your coursework. You must be at 80%. And 80% represents good standing. So that's part of that rigorous program and rigorous expectations that we're expecting, and that you can achieve, and you will achieve it. 80%. What is covered? So our sponsors and AIU, we're able to provide a scholarship, and the scholarship will take care of your accommodation, your breakfast and your lunch, and your conference materials. What will be your responsibility? The airline tickets, the conference registration fees, and any other travel expenses that you may have. So again, this is a wonderful opportunity. It shows that AIU is investing in you, but also it's an opportunity for you to invest in your future. So you're going to partner with the school and that investment. And again, that your investment will be the airline tickets, conference registration fees, other travel expenses. And AIU, if you're in good standing, will be able to cover the accommodations, your breakfast and lunch, and then the conference materials. So please take note of these three opportunities. So Accra is in September. Uganda will be in February 2027, and then South Africa in May of 2027. And so, of course, there's going to be more information as time goes on and as we move through the planning phases. But we're letting you know now so that you can start saving and planning for your portion of the expenses to attend these conferences. And again, it's a wonderful opportunity. Please, please, please start planning for it now. All right, the next slide. All right. So we have AIU PAN Scholars. Again, most of this we have talked about earlier in the introduction to the program, but we're going to review it again. So these pillars, there's 7 of them. And that is 1, you're going to author 2 books for Amazon, and that partnership has already been put in place. And as we go along through the program, you're going to get more information on how that's going to work, and more information about the assistance that you will get to be successful. Also, second one is managing a farm. And if you recall that really we're only going to have 2 countries that are going to be involved in this at the moment. So in Uganda, it's going to be coffee. In Ghana, it will be coconut. Why? Because we know that these are the 2 kinds of farming for each country that is going to give you the most success. So does it mean that we won't expand this to other countries? It doesn't mean that, but at the moment, this is going to be our focus. So you'll get more details about this as well. And this will begin, this piece of the program will begin once you have successfully graduated. All right, the next third pillar is deployment fund certified. So that's 2 months. If you'll recall, 2 months of your salary will be paid. And that's with the first 2 months with terms and conditions. And you'll get more information about that and how you can qualify to be a part of this DFC program. All right. The next one, the fourth one, is corporate problem solver. So in this particular program, you'll be assigned a company and you'll have to work with them to solve a specific, very specific corporate problem that they're having or that they're experiencing. And then you'll have the opportunity to present to leadership. And this is something that a lot of business programs do not offer, to actually have that hands-on experience, A, and B, to be able to really present to leadership. That is an amazing opportunity. Okay, and then the next pillar is the fitness assessment. There's a correlation between mental health, physical health, and success. Success in life, success in business, success as an entrepreneur. And this is a well-rounded program. So there will be a 1 mile assessment, and then also a mental health assessment. The 1 mile assessment, there'll be pre and post. So in other words, you can see at the beginning of the program where you are with this 1 mile assessment. And then at the end of the program, you can see where you are with the 1 mile assessment. So don't be worried about it. If you don't do so well at the beginning, it's okay. You've got the lifetime of this program to work on it. And so you can be ready to be successful and to pass the assessment at the end of the program. So it's fine. And then, of course, completion of degree requirements, doing all the classes, participating in all of the activities that are required, meeting that 80% mark, of course. And then 200 community service hours is the last pillar. And this is important because remember, not only do you want success for yourself individually, success for your family, but also you want to see how you can reach back and pull others up, other students, other entrepreneurs, people in the community. How can you uplift your community? So that's why this is an essential part of the program. Okay. And when you've completed all 7, that is when you will be considered a successful graduate. So it's not just completing the degree courses and the activities, but all of it together. Holistically, the whole program is what will make you a AIU PAN scholar. And we can really say, wow, this person has been a successful graduate of the program. So at this point, please, if you have questions about what we've talked about at this point, please don't forget to put your questions in the chat. Okay. And I just can't overemphasize the fact that it is possible to complete the coursework, but not completed the other components, those other 7 pillars that make up the whole program. And then your degree will not be certified. So that's how important it is. That's how serious it is that it must be all 7 pillars in order to have a certified degree. All right, next slide. What are the terms and conditions of the scholarship, right? So the scholarships are conditional based on academic and non-academic assessments, right? So you have your coursework, but then you also have, like we mentioned, other activities that are required, projects, case studies, field reports, mentoring programs. And each area, you have to have an 80% pass rate. What happens if you're struggling or if you don't meet the 80% pass rate, right? So of course, we want to see you be successful. So we'll do everything we can to assist you, to help you, to encourage you, and all of that. But ultimately, there will be a probation, and then hopefully not any of you will be suspended from the program if we cannot meet the requirements, meet the expectations of the 80% pass rate. But we're going to do everything in our power to assist you from that happening. Make sure you have the resources to be successful. Okay, the next slide, please. All right. As you know, there's that entrance exam. You've been offered an opportunity to be a part of the program, but then there is the entrance exam, right? So you get 2 proctored attempts. And as mentioned before, we pay the proctoring fees for you to take the entrance exam. So if you take it twice and you don't pass, right? Don't give up on the program altogether, but there may be a deferment to another cohort. Okay. So I believe that you've already been given, or will be given if you haven't already, the study materials, the pre-recorded tutorials, and a community of practice for collaboration. So really, really try and take advantage of all of these resources and the study guidelines, and so that you can pass that entrance exam with a 95% rate. So the rigor starts with the entrance exam, right? We're going to set you up for success. So if you have any questions about that, accessing the tutorial, the pre-recorded tutorials or the study materials, or have questions about that, please reach out to the team and ask about it, or let them know if you have questions, because we do want you to be successful. All right. But we don't want you to give up, you know? We want you to win. We want you to win. All right. Where do you send your placement holders? So the accounting team is going to email you and send the details to you about the Spark account so that you can make the payments. And you can make it in your local currency. And on Monday, you're going to get some more information. So look out for those emails. If Monday comes and you don't have the information, and you're not getting the emails, reach out right away, so that we can make any corrections, or, maybe it's something with the email, mistyped or whatever. Anything can happen. So please, 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 if you don't get it by Monday or after Monday, reach out to us. Okay. Um, so even though you're going for the 95%, that is the goal. 95% is the goal. So what tools do you have to assist with the entrance exam? As mentioned before, there's the pre-recorded lessons that you can look at, and the community of practice, and there's a study group that you can join to prepare. So please, please take advantage of that. All right. Next slide. Can I register and take any other courses on AIU Saylor University platform? No. Even though you may see that there is a partnership of some sort, this program has been handcrafted, right? And put together specifically for the needs of our purpose. So if you were to go on to Saylor and take other courses, then it's a violation, and you can be dismissed from the program. So you do have to work through AIU, and they will provide the gateway or the pathway for this program. So this is your sole path for the program. Okay, next slide. Okay, important dates to note. Placeholder fee is due, and if you could help me out, Professor Bismarck, with the due date for the $60. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that. So the exam, so on Monday, you're going to get, that's one of that's part of the information that you're going to receive on Monday, is that due date, and also how to send your money to Spark. And then the exam prep course is May 1 through 31. So that gives you a whole month to prepare for the exam. And then the exam entrance, that date will be June 6th, and then you can retake it June 20th. So I believe those dates are static. So whatever you need to do to make sure those dates are clear, reserved for the exam, it's really important. and then you'll get your results within 24 hours. All right. Let's see. So you don't have to wait until May 1st to start studying or start prepping. Actually, some of these things are available now for you to start prepping for the exam. Okay. So the teaching format is that they are self-paced, and then at the end you'll have the proctored exam. Okay. So you have two options. One is there's an early bird date to take the exam, and then there's a normal date. And they're self-paced, no live lectures. However, I believe there will be from time to time maybe recorded lectures for you, but no live lectures. And the next steps. So your next steps are that you will become an AIU candidate, right? That's what you are. You're an AIU candidate. You'll prepare for the exam. You will communicate regarding tutorial lectures, pre-recorded and live. Those communications will be on the website, and you'll get notification of those. And again, if you have any issues, you can reach out using the admissions@aiucollege.org or WhatsApp. But make sure you reach out as soon as possible if you're having any issues with that. So, congratulations. This is a new chapter. As it says here on the slide, your life will never be the same, and that's so exciting. Failure is not an option, so really have a winning attitude and a winner's disposition, and be ready to work hard and reap the rewards of this program. Okay, so let's look at your questions that you've posted. Okay, let me go back up here. So we see that one student did not hear their name, Miss Gloria, and it's in the chat. You may have already captured that already. One question, I think it's been answered. Yes, Miss Gloria?
Oh, yes, I have captured that.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. One of the questions are we going to entirely study online without physically meeting one another? So yes, the studying is online, but remember, you have the opportunity for those conferences. So that would be a great opportunity to be able to meet one another in person. So yes, you will have an opportunity to meet one another at the conference, but otherwise, yes, it's entirely studying online. All right, we have a suggestion by a student. Oh no, by by an AIU team member, and that's that the students have a WhatsApp group to be united and for discussion groups. I have a question for Professor Bismarck and Ms. Gloria. Have students already started forming groups, and are you encouraging them to do it, or are you going to facilitate their ability to set up groups to have these discussions?
Prof is going to answer that.
Okay.
So the next question is, how shall we receive the coursework? Someone is asking.
So the coursework will be via online. I guess is there a Blackboard, Professor Bismarck? So it'll be on Spark. Is there any other way that they can expect to receive coursework, or will it solely be on Spark? Okay, it's only going to be on Spark. Only on Spark. Okay.
So
Um,
he's asking, why are we paying the money? I thought it was a full scholarship. So he's asking why he needs to pay the 60 and $150.
well, compared to, again, most programs of this caliber, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So yes, the $60 is for the exam fee and the 150 is for the technology. And so most of what we spend money on, we have to prioritize, right? And so it may be a bit of a challenge. And I think perhaps you can speak with someone in accounting about it, but I don't know that this is something that can be waived, unfortunately. I believe that this is going to be static and it is a requirement. Now, perhaps this may not be the time for you to be in the program, and you maybe can ask to be deferred to another cohort, but this is something that is going to be part of the program for everyone.
Okay, thank you. What is the time frame for classes? The other
So,
question is, what is the time frame for classes?
so I don't know that we have the exact date of the first class. Are you asking like what is the actual first day of the first class for the
No,
program?
someone asked, but there is no time frame. The program is self-paced since most of these people are working, so it's self-paced. You start at your own pace. Because he asked what is the time frame for classes.
Okay. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know if he was referring to it's self-paced, but you still have to do it within a specific each course has to be completed within a specific time frame. Um, you know, or is he saying for a semester or within a year? But so it is self-paced, this is true. But maybe we can clarify your question at some point.
Okay. So another one is saying, uh, kindly let us know where we can access the materials for entrance exams and when are the deadlines for payments.
All right, so perhaps we can go back to that slide.
Prof.
So the placeholder fee is going to be due. You'll get that due date on Monday. And then the exam course, May 1 through 31. And then the entrance exam dates, June 6th, 2026. And then a retake June 20th, 26.
So the other question is, someone is requesting for the recap or the reminders to the meeting.
So this particular program is recorded. So you'll be able to go back and listen to the recording again and see the information. And you can download it, you can watch it, and that will help you to kind of keep in mind the dates and the timing um, and some other aspects of the program.
Okay.
And it'll
The
be on
other
YouTube,
one.
specifically. I'm sorry, Ms. Lawyer. It'll be on YouTube specifically in about 48 hours.
Okay, thank you. So another one is, are we paying the same time? Okay, she means, are you paying that amount, the 60 and 150 at the same time?
That's an excellent question, but no, you're not. And the reason why is the $60, that's the entrance exam. but the 150 is paid per semester, and that has to do with technology.
Okay, thank you. So another question. Are you going to graduate online or we shall meet?
Excellent question. I'm not sure at this time. I don't have the answer to that question, but we can find out the answer to that. And I think as the program goes along, you'll get more and more um, details about the specifics, and including the graduation.
So another one. You've mentioned 7 pillars to grant my graduation successfully. What if those opportunities aren't available in Egypt? Would you
So
give a hand?
yes, so they all should be available except the farm. As we mentioned before, the second pillar, that is only going to be in Ghana and Uganda. Now, will you have other things that you may have to do if you're not in Ghana and Uganda? Perhaps, but the farm is something obviously we know you can't do in Egypt at this time. And so there'll be more information about that and what that may look like in other countries. But remember, this particular requirement is at the end of your coursework. So it's nothing that you have to really be too worried about at this point.
Okay. So how long will the program run? That's another question. How long will the program run?
So the program will be 1.5 to 2 years. That's what you can expect. 1.5 to 2 years. And because it's self-paced, it could be sooner for some and a little longer for others.
Okay. Can you throw more light on AIU's link with Harvard?
Say again?
Because this person said, in your presentation about AIU accreditation and partners, you mentioned Harvard University and stated that it's an American Ivy League school. Can you throw more light on AIU's link with Harvard?
Yes. So Harvard is a certified partner of AIU, and they're also going to provide some of the leadership courses. So um, it really emphasizes the caliber of this program, the caliber of our partners. Having Harvard as a partner is amazing, and that's not something that they give freely to all programs. So, really, thanks to Professor Bismarck and his team that have been able to provide or to facilitate this benefit for AIU students.
Okay. So I'm going to combine these two questions. Shall we pay in Ugandan currency? And this one also said, can you convert that two amounts in rands? And I request you to allow me answer this question.
Sure.
Okay, so we have different dollar rates in each country. So you are requested as the student to convert this amount from your country's currency to the dollars. So that is, I don't know, but you just convert it by yourself and pay because we can't do all that work for you. You have different dollar rates. Respectfully, thank you. So this one is asking, oh, I hope I've answered those people who are asking about the currency. So this one is asking, please, some clarity on the deployment funds. I don't know which clarity she means. Kate, please clarify. Because on the deployment funds, please
Yes.
make your question clear. So let's
So
do another question. Are
for
you
the
trying to
deployment,
clarify?
yeah, for the deployment funds, there are going to be additional information that is forthcoming. So I just kind of want to make it clear to everyone, this is not the final time we're going to come together and that we're going to talk about the specifics of the program. So the next round of, or the next time that we all come together, will be at a different stage. At each stage of this process, we're going to come together. You're going to get more information and more details. Don't think that for each of these pillars, this is the last time we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, and as time goes on, more and more and more detail will be provided. Okay, that's all I
Okay,
wanted to say, Miss Gloria.
thank you. So this one is asking, how will the 1 mile assessment be done? He means, how will the 1 mile, he means the land assessment be done?
Excellent question, especially um, if you're in a country where there is not an office, right? So we're gonna trust you. You're gonna have to submit a pre and a post. We're gonna trust you to be honest about your ability to do the 1 mile assessment. So it'll be an honor system. If you remember the PhD being part of the culture, a pivotal part of the culture of AIU, and one of them was honest.
Okay, thank you. So if I'm in Uganda, do I have to attend conferences in Ghana and South Africa? Um, or they will be the same in Uganda? Or the one in Uganda is enough. I think that is it. Or they will be the same
So
in Uganda.
the answer is no. The conferences are all going to be different. They're going to have maybe different speakers, different mentoring, and networking opportunities. So you want to try to attend as many as possible. And we understand everybody has different circumstances. If some people can do all three, some others maybe could only do one. But if you can do all three, that is the best thing, really. It's worth the sacrifice and it's worth the investment. Because you're going to cross paths with people that, under any other circumstances, you may never ever get to cross paths again in such an intimate setting and have that one-on-one time. However, if you don't attend, maybe you have circumstances and it's just impossible for you to attend. Please know that it does not impact your standing in the program. It doesn't impact your grades or anything like that. But it's an opportunity to develop the human skills, right? And the networking and the mentoring. But it will not affect your standing in the program. It will not affect your grades or anything if you truly, truly are not in a position to attend.
Okay. So another question has just popped up. I saw the conferences also have scholarship slots. How true is this and how can one apply when it gets to the time?
So the scholarship is based on your standing, but there is more information to come, right? Um, I don't know if you remember on the slide, it talked about that 80% um, pass rating, and also the fact that part of the scholarship will be the accommodations, the breakfast and lunch, and conference materials and things like that. So that is part of that scholarship. But you'll get more information about that as well. And Gloria, I think we have time for one more question. I want to respect everybody's time. If we don't get to a question that you have or you think of about it later, please reach out to the team and submit your questions because it's important. And we want you to have all the information needed as you plan to embark on this journey.
Okay, that's all for the questions. But for more questions, they can still reach out via WhatsApp or email. Yes, thank you
Absolutely.
very much.
Yeah. So your
Mm.
next step, just as a reminder, is to log into to SU and Spark. That is really your very next step. Once we wrap up here, and then look for the information on Monday. And remember, we are so proud of you. And you're reaching out to take this step, and you're not alone, and you can do this. And we're going to do everything in our power to make you successful and have a positive experience because we want to continue. You're the first for this pilot program, but the goal is to continue. So we really want this to be a successful experience. Remember, don't chase the certificates, but you want to have the skills, and that's what the employers are looking for, and that's what's going to make successful entrepreneurs, is not having just this certificate, right? But having this well-rounded program and and the mentorship and the coaching and all of the activities that's going to really prepare you to be successful in the future. This is a very unique time for Africa. And there's so many opportunities like never before. And so we want to position ourselves um, as a community and individually and as students, as entrepreneurs, to take advantage of it. Again, not just for ourselves, not just for our families, but for our communities, because we can all win. There's room, like Mr. Miller brought out, there's room for all of us to be successful. There really is. And you're going to have the tools to do that. We are different on purpose. AIU is different on purpose, and you're going to be able to see it, to experience, and to be able to tell others about it. So thank you so much for attending today. I'm going to leave the last few remarks for Professor Bismarck if he has anything else that he would like to add. All right. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day. And I look forward to seeing most, if not all of you, at our next orientation meeting. Take care. Bye-bye.